Before we get to installing the revival kit, it is a good habit to test our equipment to make sure it all works as intended. Here are some of the parts we'll be checking. There are various cables included in this kit. If you receive any cables that you did not use in the installation, either they are extra or are not used in the Xplorer kit. There should be 4 white cables for connecting the fretboard to the strum board, 3 red cables to connect the breakout board to the strum board, a yellow cable to connect the USB-C daughter board to the strum board, an authentication cable, and lastly the whammy that has its cable attached. We'll start by plugging the fretboard into the strum board. Zooming in, you can see fret 1, fret 2, and RGB connectors on the fretboard. You can see the same connectors on the strum board. We'll be using the long white cables to connect the 2 boards with the respective connectors on each side. Going one at a time with each cable is the way to go due to all of the cables looking the same as well as being interchangeable. So you want to go just one by one, go from fret 1 to fret 1, fret 2 to fret 2, and RGB to RGB. Also, the cables will only go in one way, so observe that you are putting them in the right direction. It doesn't matter which side you connect first, so long as it goes to the matching connector on the other end. Now, we can move on to the Xplorer breakout board. This is necessary to test as it covers so many important inputs. Looking closely, you can see D-pad 1, D-pad 2, and start select on the breakout board. You must match those 3 connectors to the ones on the strum board, just like the fretboard. The reason that this part is longer than the others is because I want you to understand the process of electronics assembly, as you'll have to do this again in this guide. However, it'll be inside the guitar instead, where making mistakes can be a bit more inconvenient. It's also a good idea to understand how the pieces work together and what does what. Now that we've put the 3 chord boards together, open the RCM programming tool. Then, plug the revival strum board into your computer using the USB-C port that is on the strum board itself. Once the device appears, click Configure. The RCM programming tool is really important, and you'll be using it to calibrate and configure the guitar later on, so see it now and get an idea of what it does. Once you've gotten to the configuration page, test each input and make sure that all the LEDs light up, including the ones on the strum bar. We must now test the breakout board. Scroll to the bottom of the configuration page to get to the input tester. Use the start or select button with the silicone contact pad to get a test of each input by pushing the button down on the gold pads. Up, down, left, and right. Note that up and down will appear as strums, while left and right will appear as D-pad left and right. Start and select will appear as plus or minus, and then guide may open your Xbox game bar, so be aware of that. Now that we've tested that everything works properly, unplug the revival strum board from your PC. We can now use the yellow cable and USB daughter board to test that the USB-C port on the guitar will function. One end of the yellow cable goes into the USB-C daughter board and the other end into the USB marked connector on the strum board. Then, plug the previously used USB-C cable into the USB-C daughter board. Then, just test inputs and make sure that the strum board is receiving power. Now that we've determined that your PC is detecting the kit and that it's receiving power properly, we can unplug the USB cable and then begin taking apart the entire electronics assembly. Be very careful unplugging each cable from each board, as the connectors are a little sensitive. They aren't meant for any heavy duty work, so don't tug on them too hard or you might rip the whole connector off of the board or off of the cable itself. So just be a little careful. They do require a little bit of force, but they'll come out easily. We can now move on to the installation of the kit into the guitar body. Woohoo!